Welcome to today's Tea Time audio story. It's time to slow down, take a deep breath, and enjoy a moment just for you. As you sip your favorite tea, let your mind drift into the world of stories, where imagination comes alive and anything is possible. Listening to audio stories isn't just entertaining, it's also a wonderful way to relax, spark creativity, and improve your English in a natural and enjoyable way. Stories have the power to transport us to far-off places, introduce us to new characters, and remind us of life's little lessons. So whether you're here to unwind, learn something new, or simply enjoy a quiet escape, this is your time. Get comfortable, let your worries melt away, and allow today's story to take you on a journey. Let the magic begin. It started slowly, almost imperceptibly. The numbers on the scale began to shift, small at first, just a fraction here and there. But it was enough. Enough to stir something inside Leanna that she hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. She didn't want to get too attached to it. She had seen the numbers drop before, only to rise again, taunting her, reminding her of every failed attempt. But this time felt different. This time wasn't about punishment. It wasn't about starving herself or chasing perfection. It was about strength, about listening, about healing. And the scale was beginning to reflect that. The first time she noticed a real change, it wasn't the scale that told her. It was her clothes. The way her jeans sat looser on her hips, how her favorite shirt no longer clung so tightly. The small space between her skin and fabric felt like a quiet victory, an invisible trophy. She stood in front of the mirror, running her fingers along the edges of her body. She could see it, the subtle shifts. She could feel it, too, in the way she moved, in the lightness in her step. And she smiled. It wasn't about looking a certain way. Not really. It was about feeling like her body was hers again. Like it was capable. Like it was strong. But as the changes became more visible, so did the attention. It started with small comments. A glance that lingered longer than before. A casual, "You look good," from classmates who had barely noticed her before. Even Ava, her trainer, smiled wider when she saw her progress. "You're doing amazing," Ava said one afternoon, nodding in approval as Leanna finished her set. "You've come so far." Leanna smiled, but the words felt heavy. Weighted. Because while she appreciated the acknowledgement, a part of her wondered, would they have noticed her if she hadn't changed? Would they have cared? And worse, did she care that they cared now? The positive attention was confusing. Unfamiliar. It felt like walking into a room where the lights were suddenly too bright. Where every glance was a question, every compliment a reminder that she had once been invisible. But there was negative attention, too. The kind that came in whispers and sidelong glances. The kind that made her wonder if people were measuring her, judging her, comparing her to the girl she used to be. "She's trying so hard," she overheard once, the words soft but sharp. "It's good, but let's see if it lasts." It stung. More than she wanted to admit. Because it wasn't just about the weight. It was about the doubt. The belief that she wasn't enough, that she couldn't sustain it. And the worst part, she wasn't sure if they were wrong. She battled with it, the duality of change. The pride of progress, the fear of attention. The satisfaction of strength, the vulnerability of being seen. Some days, she wore her confidence like armor. She stood tall. She met every glance head on. She accepted compliments with a simple, "Thank you." But other days, it felt like a lie. like she was pretending to be someone stronger, braver, than she really was. She didn't know how to balance it. How to accept the praise without wondering why it hadn't come before. Without questioning if it was real, if it would last. Therapy helped. Claire listened, as always. Patient, kind. "It's normal to feel conflicted," she said one afternoon. "You're not just changing your body, Leanna. You're changing how you see yourself. How the world sees you. And that takes time." "But why does it feel like a lie?" Leanna asked, her voice small. "Why can't I just be proud?" Claire's smile was gentle. "Because you're still healing. Because part of you remembers how it felt to be overlooked. To be dismissed. And it's okay to grieve that. It's okay to question it." Leanna nodded, though the ache in her chest didn't ease. "The important thing," Claire continued, "is to remember that your worth doesn't depend on the scale. Or on attention. It's in who you are. And that hasn't changed." The words sank deep. They didn't fix everything, but they gave Leanna something to hold on to. Something to believe in. She began to focus less on the numbers and more on the feeling. The strength in her legs as she walked farther. The steady beat of her heart as she lifted heavier. The clarity in her mind after a long workout. She celebrated the moments that couldn't be measured. The mornings when she felt strong. The nights when she felt peace. And slowly, she started to believe it. That her worth wasn't about the attention. That it wasn't about being seen. It was about being herself. And she liked who she was becoming. But there were setbacks, too. Moments when she doubted, when old fears crept back in. When the scale slowed, or a comment cut too deep. She fought those moments with kindness. With patience. With Ava's encouragement and Claire's wisdom. With walks and journaling. With forgiveness. Because progress wasn't linear. And neither was healing. One day, after a particularly hard session, Ava pulled her aside. "I know it's tough," she said softly. "But don't let the scale define your strength. I see you showing up every day. That's what matters." Leanna swallowed hard. "It just feels like I'm still proving something. To everyone. To myself." Ava's gaze was steady. "You don't have to prove anything. Not to me. Not to anyone. You're already enough. Just as you are." The words felt like freedom. Like release. And Leanna carried them with her, letting them settle deep into the places where doubt lived. Letting them become a new kind of truth. The scale kept moving, slowly but surely. And Leanna learned to meet it with grace. To celebrate the victories, but not let them define her. To find joy and strength, in resilience, in the journey itself. She learned that confidence wasn't about approval. It wasn't about being noticed. It was about being proud of who she was, regardless of who was watching. And that was the greatest victory of all. Thank you for joining today's Tea Time story. We hope you enjoyed this journey into the world of imagination and storytelling. Whether it made you smile, sparked a new thought, or simply gave you a moment to relax, we're grateful to have shared this time with you. Thank you for listening and being part of our story time. Keep dreaming, keep imagining, and we'll see you again for another magical tale soon. Until next time, take care and happy listening.